Welcome to Taking Care of Business on News Talk 1180 KERN for the best in Saturday talk radio at 1 o'clock and on 1230 KGEO at 10 o'clock. Saturday for the best in Wednesday talk radio, we're on 1410 KERI and now on 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're syndicated, Clay.
Is that what syndicated is?
Yes, we're on more than 3 stations as syndication.
Wow.
How about that, huh?
I'm impressed with you.
Yeah, with me. Your host is Clay Koerner, and I'm Marty Pay. And our new producer for now is The Rock. Rocky's with us for the next couple months. Hey, Clay, that was a great show last week with Vince Coakley, a black conservative whose show was not renewed by his liberal network. I wonder why.
I mean, either of those guests we had last week, we could have spent 2 hours with.
Oh, yeah, with Elena Marino talking about the 60th anniversary of the Korean War.
I was thinking more about Ernie Zara.
No, that's showing next week. We taped a show that, so you're off.
Well, I'm ahead of myself.
Ahead or behind, or, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But, we've got another one of those shows today where we've got a guest we could probably keep for the whole hour, both guests. In the second half, we have an old friend of ours, Eric Rush, who broke the Reverend Wright story. Can you believe that's been 6 years ago now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, amazing.
I looked in a mirror. That's how come I knew.
I'll leave that one alone. But in the first half, we have an author with a very, very controversial book making the rounds. I've been waiting for the last month. I can't wait to interview her. Diana West, author of American Betrayal, The Secret Assault on Our Nation's Character. Diana, welcome to Taking Care of Business.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
So you're getting a little bit of heat for this book.
Oh, it's been coming from all directions. It's sort of like another day, another hit piece. The thing that's been amazing to me is that most of these pieces, if not all of them, except for maybe the original, have been written by people who did not read the book and even admit that in their pieces that are dumping on me. It's become sort of the ritual thing to do, to denounce my book as dangerous, which I think makes it sound quite interesting. But I'm working on a big rebuttal, which should just, take everybody apart and should be a lot of fun. Maybe we can even talk about it again. But so your listeners are not completely confused. I have been called all kinds of names. My book has been determined to be evil, and I just would like to start by introducing myself a little bit. I have been a journalist for almost 30 years. I have a syndicated column since 1999. It's in over 100 papers. This is my second book with St. Martin's Press. I'm a very known quantity. I used to be a CNN commentator with the Lou Dobbs Show. I mean, I am not some kind of will-o'-the-wisp who just appeared. I actually have a very strong reputation, and what I'm very happy about is that in this incredible fight I've been having, the people are with me. And I say that judging by comments and letters and, of course, sales and, of course, reviews on Amazon. So it's a very interesting thing. The elite is going after me, and the real people are loving the book, and I'm excited about that.
So the people that are making negative comments are those that haven't read the book. Is that correct?
That is, by and large, the case, and it kind of is astonishing that people can do this. I mean, you'd think it would reflect badly on them, but maybe they'll realize that once my rebuttal is up and running. It's been taking so long because the original hit piece by Ronald Radosh, he actually described it in print as a takedown of American Betrayal, which is my book, is almost 8,000 words, and there are so many distortions and even fabrications and confusions in it that it's been taking me like 24/7 for the past week to work through it, but I'm almost done, and then my life will be heavenly again when I'm through with this rebuttal.
It reminds me of a congresswoman a few years ago who said, we have to pass the bill to know what's in it.
Yes. It's very much like that. Yes.
Diana, you seem so nice, and I can tell the three of us are going to get along in the next couple of minutes. But you were a CNN commentator?
I was, for the old Lou Dobbs Show.
Oh, okay. No, as long as it's Lou Dobbs, that's okay. But CNN commentator.
Makes sense. Yeah,
I was going to say.
It was just a few years ago, but for a few years, right around the first Obama election, particularly, I was doing that weekly. I was just saying that just to sort of show I have been, I'm a known quantity, and I have quite a track record at this point. So it's harder to blow me out of the water. I think they will find.
Sure.
But I think what's interesting is the ad hominem attacks on me, which I think are supposed to make my book radioactive rather than just letting people... I mean, why not just ignore a book if it's that bad, right?
Yeah.
But I think what they want to do is make me seem like some kind of a conspiracy nut so that people will be afraid to read it. But I think they're late, because their attacks started 2 months after the book came out, and it has gotten so much interest, and again, responses from real people who are reading it that, I think strategically, I am fortunate this did not, in other words, come out right at the very beginning, because enough people have read it, enough people are interested in reading it, been doing enough interviews and talks around the country and so on, that, it becomes a debate of ideas at a certain point, which is what it should be. It should be people's, readers should make up their own minds, not be told what they should read or not read. And I think, in a way, that's kind of why the attacks on me are not resonating, because it's mostly about controlling people and telling them what's good for them or what's not good for them. And most of us, thank God, will want to make up their minds ourselves.
Definitely. We are having a conversation with Diana West, author of American Betrayal, The Secret Assault on Our Nation's Character. Before we get into a lot of detail with the book, Diana, I wanted to just talk about the title, The Secret Assault on Our Nation's Character. What do you mean by that?
Well, believe me, that subtitle went through months at St. Martin's Press, back and forth, back and forth. We were all happy with it in the end. And what I think it mainly means is, what I'm talking about is something hiding in plain sight. When you go back to, for example, the fall of the Soviet Union, and we get a look at archives of KGB cables that actually we've been able to identify hundreds of American traitors who were actually working for the other side, actually working for Stalin at the time, and were actually in our government or other institutions. That should become part of our normal historical narrative. And what I'm talking about is the notion that if you pick up the latest book on World War II or Eisenhower or even the Cold War, unless it's a specific book about the KGB intelligence archives, you are extremely unlikely to find them referenced. And that means that the dirty secret intelligence war that the Soviet Union was actually waging against us from the very beginning is not part of our narrative. It's not part of our understanding. This creates a weird vacuum, and what I argue actually is that is one part of the assault in terms of not knowing. And the other part is the alliance with the Soviet Union that we made going back to 1933 when Franklin Roosevelt normalized relations with Stalin, a country that had just gone through the Ukraine terror famine and killed about 6 million people by starving them to death on purpose. We come along and normalize relations. Well, this whole relationship, I argue, I think, corrupted us. It required us to lie about such things as the Ukraine terror famine, not to tell the truth, to look the other way when the Soviet Union was doing all these, crimes against humanity, the whole Gulag slave labor system. All of these things were minimized in order to keep this alliance going right up until the very end when the Soviet Union actually dissolved. So the secret assault is really twofold, but it does involve, what we don't know about ourselves and why, and also what it has done to us to really institutionalize the telling of big lies by our government. This is one of my theses.
Lies seems to be the common theme in this government today, but you might have another book you could work on. It would be called Area 51, The Truth.
Sure. Hasn't someone written that one?
I don't know if it's been written, but based on the book...
You guys should write that one. That's your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's fairly close to us. It's I had written a book several years ago, and I'll tell you what, there's a book, Diana, that is just kind of sitting there. It's been sitting in the back of my mind, and your book kind of makes me think of this. When you think about World War II, technically it didn't end until Solidarity ended the Soviet occupation of Poland, because after all, didn't Britain and France go to war to stop Poland from being attacked by the Nazis? Weren't they trying to free Poland? And Poland wasn't free until 30 years after World War II was done.
Well, that's a very good point. But again, do you see, I'm going to tell you something you left out. On the other half of that invasion of Poland by the Nazis was the invasion by Poland by the Soviet Union.
On the other side,
we forget about that. Yeah, we know
exactly.
we know September 1st, 1939. When the Germans invaded Poland. I believe it's September 17 when Stalin invaded Poland and did exactly the same kind of war crimes against Poland that the Germans would be tried for at Nuremberg, but
nobody
not the
talks
Soviets.
about that. Yeah, nobody talks about that.
So this kind of blind eye is something I track throughout the century because it's consistent. And that is, I argue, also why we are all very, and rightfully so, will condemn Nazi crimes against humanity. However, the Gulag, which actually, Stalin killed even more millions of people than Adolf Hitler, and Mao, of course, even more than that. We don't have the same revulsion toward communism that we do toward Nazism. I think this is part of this notion of the secret assault on our nation's character. We have been conditioned not to have this kind of frank assessment of communist crime that we have for Nazi crime, and that's something else my book gets into.
And let's pick up there and talk about that after the break, okay?
Sure.
We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.